Jesus wept, but hope and faith he kept. You're listening to Knowledge is Power. Always know that Knowledge is Power is brought to you by the Committee to Develop Birmingham. Committee meets on the third Saturday of every month from 9 until 11 here at the 5 Points West Library in lovely downtown 5 Points West. The number here is 741-9288, 741-WATV. You all know that in the second hour we open up the phone lines. We invite your participation in what we call Birmingham's premier town hall meeting. While we were in the break, our special guest arrived, and I would like to give him the first 5 to 10 minutes, so I would ask that the callers be patient. You know, if you're on, hold on. If you're looking to get in, we're going to try to keep the calls to no more than 2 to 3 minutes so that everyone can get a chance to talk to our special guest, Mr. Calvin Grigsby. Calvin, welcome to the studio.
Oh, well, thank you very much. Good to be here.
We were telling the audience earlier about your efforts on their behalf for over 2 years now, I know of, and probably longer than that. But most recently, there was a hearing in Phoenix City, Alabama, that you attended. Bring us up to date. Tell us how that all went.
Okay, I'm sure the audience knows that there's been a receiver appointed to raise rates and to take over the operation of the system. The receiver asked the court to give him, or to transfer $60 million of ratepayer money into a private company that he controlled, and the hearing was held on that matter at 8 o'clock, and at 9 o'clock we had a hearing on my being admitted to practice in the Alabama courts. The 8 o'clock hearing resulted in a determination that the receiver had the right to, in effect, write checks not only on the $60 million, but on all revenues generated from you, the rate-paying public, in Jefferson County. Now, after that, I had the good fortune of being able to take the oath and being able to act as an attorney in this matter on a motion to intervene. And I want to talk a little bit about our motion to intervene and why we filed a motion to intervene on behalf of the ratepayers. The reason we were able to procedurally get this motion to intervene filed is that the $3 billion in swap financings that they're asking the ratepayers to repay are, in our view, a violation of Article 94A of the Alabama Constitution. Article 94A says warrants may not be issued, and the legislators cannot pass a bill allowing warrants to be issued if the purpose of those warrants is to provide or aid a private individual or corporation. In our case, we had what we call 2 separate issuances of warrants. We had $2.6 billion in warrants issued to repair the sewer system between 1997 and 2002. And starting in 2002, we had $3 billion in warrants that were issued for the purpose of doing interest rate swaps. The interest rate swaps produced an immediate profit to Wall Street and international investors in the amount of about $170 million. So to me get right down to it, the $3 billion in bonds was issued in order to make a profit for some international and domestic banks in the amount of $170 million. No other purpose. And when they say they issued these bonds in order to fund improvements from required by the EPA, that is untrue. The $3 billion in bonds, and if you look in the prospectuses for which these bonds were issued, they stay right in the prospectus The purpose of these bonds is to do interest rate swaps. The purpose of the interest rate swaps was not to benefit any of the ratepayers, but to benefit the swap providers, which were about 6 major companies, including J.P. Morgan, Bear Stearns, and several other foreign banks, UBS, Union Bank of Switzerland, for example, and other banks involved in the swaps. Now, what is the solution to this, what you would say is a wealth transfer from the citizens of Jefferson County who are on the sewer? And let me tell you who those are. Most of the citizens on the sewer are African Americans in District 1 and District 2, about 70%. And if you want to look at it another way, 70% of the people who are paying the bills are in the city of Birmingham. Now let me tell you how much money that is. Every year, the total aggregate sewer bills is $170 to $180 million being collected every year. About 50 million of that, 60 million of that goes to pay the expenses, and then about 100 million goes to pay these bonds, or warrants as we call them. Now, let me tell you what the rate increase means to you, the homeowner, sitting on this, listening to this radio program, or the apartment dweller who's going to have to pay higher rent in order to get the pass-through of the sewer rate increase paid by the landlord. If your bill is $80, it's gonna, let's say your bill's $100, because then I can do the math a lot easier. Your bill is going to go up to $125 this year. Next year is going to go up to $156, another 25% of that 120, that first 25%, and then in year 3 it's going to go up to $196. So your bill is going to double. You're going to end up paying roughly another $100 a month. Now, $100 a month, easy math, is $1,200 a year. Now, $1,200 a year is worth, on a present value basis, about $15,000. Now let me tell you what that means to you. If you were trying to sell your house is now worth $15,000 less than it would have been worth without this rate increase. That means you just got lost equity in your house in the amount of $15,000 as a result of the rate increase, in addition to the actual cash you lost out of your pocket. The other thing it means is that all the homes in the affected area, primarily District 1, District 2, and or the city of Birmingham, are going to lose value. The property value is going to be less. The amount of money paid now to the city of Birmingham and other cities on property taxes is going to be less, because the value of the house is going to be less. So the services of the city that the city provides, particularly police services, fire services, public safety, all those services provided by the county and the city are going to be affected because of the reduction in the value. Now, what are we doing to try to keep the homeowner from suffering a loss of their equity in their home as a result of increased sewer fees and the loss of actual cash out of their pocket? So basically you're talking about everybody going to pay another $1,000. If you got $1,000 a year and you got to pay that for another 30 years, you're paying $30,000 for this increase as an individual.
That's just for the increase. That's not the regular bill.
That's not the regular bill.
Added on to the regular bill.
And the regular bill is up, as you know, over 300% over the prior period. Now, what we have proposed to the court, and I had the good fortune of meeting with Judge Johnson in Phoenix City. And remember, the reason Judge Johnson in Phoenix City has this case is that every judge in Jefferson County removed himself from the case because of a conflict of interest. And let me tell you what that means. That means every judge in this county has a family member or former business partner who is making money off of this deal. The only reason a judge can be excused is because of a financial interest in the matter in front of the court. And I just want everybody to know that every judge in the county recused themselves without a challenge, because every judge in this county has a family member, a former business partner, a former law partner who has a financial interest in the money that was taken by the swap providers, which is being passed along to the ratepayers. We're proposing that the court declare that the statute under which these warrants were issued violates the Constitution because it's a gift of public money, i.e. your money as ratepayers, to private individuals, i.e. the banks and underwriters and people who took the money for profits out of the interest rate swaps. And with that, and we feel we have a very good case. We're going to be coming back because we have to raise money to fight this case. The lawyers from New York are very well heeled. They have unlimited money from in fact, the ratepayers, you got to understand this, the ratepayers are paying all the legal fees for the people who are fighting to raise the rates. So not only are you getting hammered with a rate increase, you're paying the cost of the receiver, you're paying the cost of his lawyers, you're paying the cost of the lawyers from New York, all covered by this order that says the money that you are paying belongs to the warrant holders, who were the people who perpetuated the fraud on the county.
All right. We got callers, I know, Curtis. We're going to open up the phone lines. All of you who have ears to hear have heard. So now we'll hear from you. Caller, welcome to Knowledge is Power. Hello?
Hello?
Yes, welcome to Knowledge is Power.
Yes, go ahead.
Yes, I was just calling to, hate to be the bearer of bad news, but it seems like you're wasting your time talking to black folks in Birmingham. You know, they're just sitting around with the bitches hanging down, showing their butts, and allowing others to stand up. Where are the reverends in this town who march for every time a police officer beat a pug on the street? Where are they? Shame on them. You know, we're out here fighting for Mexicans' rights to get a free education and take the job. You know, what's wrong with them? It's a shame. They hate to hear the N-word, but to me, it sounds just like that. Thank you.
All right, caller, welcome to Knowledge is Power.
Good evening. Good evening to you, Dr. Huntley and Mr. Griggs. It's interesting. The first caller was a female, and as I've been listening to the show, I've been asking myself, because some other hosts have brought up some demographics that is relative to the conversation, and one of them is like the percentage of black homeowners here in Birmingham and Jefferson County. Another related issue is how many of these households or homeowners are actually simply headed by black females. What are the husbands in the males? Are they unemployed? Are they in prison? Or just where? Because as I listened the first hour to you and Dr. Huntley talk about conditions in the past, and I'm sure that you are aware, Mr. Finley, and Dr. Huntley is aware, but there's been what I've been talking about for the last 20 years. I call it low-intensity warfare, especially on black males. And they have been the main target. The definition of a family. Well, the males are in prison, they're unemployed. I mean, what's a family? You think these women going to stand up for this thievery? When really, in the destruction of the black community and the family, not only males but many females have been complicit in the crimes, knowingly or unknowingly, that has been committed by black people, namely in the name of so-called Planned Parenthood and things of this nature, which has been going on part of eugenic movements. And you all say this may be the worst crime perpetrated among blacks. I think if I think the worst crime was the loss of 13 million acres in less than 80 years. I think that's the worst theft that's ever occurred to African Americans related to economics. And it appears the only time the so-called educated people.
And what I'd like to bring forth is just some research I've been doing, Mr. Huntley, on internal races. And there would never be any type of uproar from the general populace in this area, Birmingham and Jefferson County, from people of color, because internal racism has struck a nerve in the political arena, in the social arena, and institutionalized itself at places like the NAACP, the SCLC, and the Civil Rights Institute. What do we do about that? It's about time that we put a finger on those people who are in positions to that would have stood for the vices that cause hardships among people, especially like this sewer bill, who are in position to keep us from doing something. Yeah, are y'all following me with where I'm going?
Yeah,
the point is this: we all know that in this town we have allowed people to be put in position, especially even the mayor of the city of Birmingham and the entire city council. These people are internal racists. They don't mean us any good. And then you just kind of vary a little bit from this conversation. Just recently, a mitigated gall and audacity of a city council to go out here and challenge the racist agenda of this immigration bill that was brought forward by Scott Beeson. How can they do that and they won't even implement the disparity statute? Let me tell you what the ball boils down to: backbone and grit. And God, for all of us, and we got to stand for ourselves. I'm going to stand for myself. But I don't see myself venturing out here anymore because people just scared. They kowtow down in this town. But I'm going to stand my ground about standing by myself. That's just me. Somebody needs to stand up for themselves right here. Y'all have a good day.
All right. We appreciate it. Caller, welcome to Knowledge is Power.
Yeah, good evening. I'm glad to hear Mr. Grigsby up there, and you and Dr. Mr. Finley, Mr. Huntley, and so glad you brought about this sewage because it was in the paper that he wanted to get $60 million out of the reserve and still want to go up on the sewer rate. What is it, September the 1st?
I think so, yeah.
Well, he need to be kicked. Him and Jared Johnson need to be kicked. But I'm sorry to be kind of angry at the time, and I got I'm kind of confused because I was supposed to attend a family reunion before September the 1st. It looked like it's just it's really kind of ridiculous. And people are on, they're trying to see their loved ones, and because many of them might not be around, before the year out. But it's ridiculous, though. And when you just see it just a while ago, the judges right here just cowered out because they got, people involved with this bond swap. I think it's a disgrace and a slap in the face, when this went down in the late 90s and up to now. They knew about this this situation. I tell you, they ought to be thrown in jail, because this is ridiculous. I see so many homes right here in the West End area and other neighborhoods when there are people that are leaving their home. And it's ridiculous, though. How can we pay this 25% in the next 3 years, though? That's ridiculous.
Let me make a comment to that.
And the only thing I just see is that, when every time I live right here in West End, when I know when the water, water rate is down, but when it's food connect with it, then it go up 25%, that's a slap in the face. So, and there's only one or two districts that paying for it, and the other is getting away with it. And the other occupation tax was stumped out against, and then the people out of work. It's ridiculous. Something needs to be done. So, but I'm glad, Mr. Grigsby, I'm glad they need to get these, these here back to the bargaining table. We have to come here one day in your meeting sometime soon. I don't mind standing in their face and tell them. I go there to the zoo and put my mouth in my head in their round mouth and show that this is a down disgrace tragedy against the city of Birmingham in the District 1 and 2. So y'all keep up the good work. I know the callers going to voice, their opinion, and this is our cry. So
well, Colin, let me say this. This is Calvin Grigsby. I just want to say this. Don't blame the receiver. The lawsuit was filed by the Bank of New York on behalf of the warrant holders. The lawsuit was filed against Jefferson County. Jefferson County has paid its lawyers over $5 million supposedly to defend the ratepayers. You need to blame those lawyers for allowing the receiver to be appointed and for rolling over and not appealing the summary judgment motion that was granted by the court. All the court did was say the contract signed by Jefferson County is enforceable. It was Jefferson County who hired the law firm that would not fight this. The reason we had to intervene is because the defendant in this action has not put up any resistance to the appointment of the receiver and the raising of the rates. And you need to talk to your elected officials who sit on that commission, because those elected officials are the ones who are sitting there letting the rates go up, not the receiver.
All right, caller. Welcome to Knowledge is Power.
I'm calling you from Norwood.
You need to speak up.
Yeah, I'm calling you from Norwood. Mr. Finley, I'll say again, like I said many times, I think you do a very good job of explaining to us what kind of shape we're in and what we need to do. But it seems to me it's more emphasis on what we need to do if somebody let us according to law. I am not talking about breaking any laws. You referred to this procedure about the sewer bill as being handled by thugs. I agree with you, but please hear this. If the lawyers are thugs, the law allows thuggery mostly when it applies to us. I call it Alabama Constitution. It is those 5 words in the U.S. Constitution that I've tried so hard to convey for a long time. We need to study these U.S. laws that say we are citizens. And if you find those laws, please read them so we can hear it. But I don't think you will find it. But it is spelled out for white people in those same words in the Constitution of the United States. If we can really get what I find is whenever we hit home, I'm not talking about me either. There's a lot of people call in with some darn good points. But we would change the subject and go in another direction every time. We are fighting the same battle and using the same words here in July of 2011 as we did after the 60s. I don't know how long we can have these patients to just go along with people who have proven they don't want to do anything for us. When I think of going to a bank, I think of Citizen Trust. When I think of anything that I need to do, I think of our community first. Brother William, he gets on the radio and he tells us daily, all day, how foolishly we spend our money. I don't know what it's going to take. When I got ready to get me some medicine no later than this evening, I thought about Citizens Pharmacy, and I thought about one outside the community. I wind up going to Citizen Pharmacy. I don't understand what it's going to take to get us to see that. We talk about everything but how to support ourselves. I could talk to you a long time about it, but ain't nobody going to talk about it, and I think I'm going to stop too. Thank you.
Appreciate the call. Caller, welcome to Knowledge is Power.
Hello, Rick, how you doing?
I'm good. How are you, sir?
I'm doing all right. I was just calling. I know Mr. Grigsby said the judge has said a lot of folks that's really scared because everybody got something to do with that. The sewer did that really had to excuse itself. And Rich, I'm gonna ask you a question. On this, with that environmental one, then those folks there, then they use a lot of those folks to wake up to help them companies. I think when Swan.
Say that again. You said the EPA did what now?
Now you know Jack Swan was over the environmental thing before he went to prison.
Yeah, well, environmental services, that controls the sewer system. Yeah.
Well, what he did, they were using the county workers to help those guys out there. Cause that's what I'm talking about. They were using county workers out there then.
Yeah, well, that was corruption inside the county.
Because I worked for the city of Mount Brooklyn. I used to send over their camera truck going down in the lines for those guys.
Yeah, well, there was a lot of corruption inside the county. It was a feeding frenzy.
But I could never understand how the county had the men do that work themselves.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they got all of that. They had the men. They got the cameras, and they could have did that work themselves.
Yeah.
In house, I could never understand why they did it.
Well, that's part of the requirement. If you're going to be a citizen, you're going to have to be vigilant.
Yeah.
If you just elect people and then you go on about your way and leave them to buy in the house and nobody's watching them, what happened will happen every time. It's it's going to be incumbent upon us.
As I know in Mount Brooklyn, we did our schools ourselves, because when they took over ours, they took the schools over in 1997, I believe. So we had to maintain. They did the most of their work they did in Birmingham. In Mount Brooklyn, they did themselves.
Yeah, well, sewer is not a high tech.
That's what I'm telling you. I know they called that much money. I'm talking about, I don't know why they called that, but that's what I'm talking about. They called the billion, the fake money, what they got out. That's a shame now.
Yeah, well, we all understand that it runs downhill.
Yeah.
Well, this is Calvin Grigsby. Let me say this. There's 3 phases of the sewer system. The first phase was when the EPA said you have to fix the contamination going into the river from the sewer. That's phase 1. Phase 2 is when they sold the bonds, about $2.6 billion in bonds, to comply with the EPA. And that happened between 1997 and 2002. Phase 3 was when they sold $3 billion in bonds to allow the Wall Street firms to engage in interest rate swaps with the county. All of the bonds that are causing the rate increase are the Phase 3 bonds. Mm-hmm. And all of the so-called corruption and the violations are involved in the Phase 3 bonds to do interest rate swaps. And I'll tell you a little bit about interest rate swap. An interest rate swap is where you have a synthetic derivative transaction which does not raise any money for any projects. That's what you got to understand. There's no money raised in Phase 3. It is a derivative transaction, a synthetic transaction, which increased the amount of debt by about $400 million in principal and about $400 million in interest. That $800 million is what is causing the rate increase. That's the primary driver, and all of that money went to aid private investment firms and underwriters, and it had no benefit to the ratepayers and the homeowners in the county of Jefferson.
Okay, we're going to take a quick break, and we'll come back for our last phase. We got caller. Okay, we've got a caller. Curtis wants us to get in. Caller, welcome to Knowledge is Power.
Good evening, gentlemen. How y'all doing?
We're good. How are you?
Good. I know that my good friend, Dr. Huntley, is smiling as this call comes in from Oak Mountain.
Good evening, Oak Mountain.
Good evening, gentlemen. I've been listening to this conversation this evening, and it's interesting to me. I've got a solution. Just shut it down and put a top on it, guys. I mean, you got to know when to hold them, got to know when to fold them. I think some of the blame would go to the banks and the people who made these loans and these bond deals. But I think all of the blame does not need to go to them. I think the blame needs to go with the cronies and the liars and thieves that were here, right here in our town, that stole the people's money, took the people's money, and now the people are having to pay for it. The reality is, we see that what keeps happening, the rulings keep coming down against the people, against the ratepayers, and yet the ratepayers remain silent. And I've said this so many times that, what does it take to get us to really get adamant about coming out and fighting against this kind of clown activity that goes on in our town every day, a different calamity every day. I mean, it just keeps the people so distracted, and it is so frustrating. And we see the number of people that are leaving Jefferson County, the number of people that are leaving Birmingham, and not white folk, black folk are leaving because they've grown sick and tired of it, and that's why you have so much apathy. And the apathy has gone from being, the people have gone from being apathetic to being absolutely pathetic. And the reason I say that is that, you guys are up there begging, you're begging our folk to come out and come up in arms against something that's affecting them. And Mr. Grigsby just stated a few minutes ago, this thing's going to cost you about, each person, about $1,000 a year. But yet, we're just content on moving on with the situation as is and having that head in the sand syndrome that we always seem to have in this Birmingham area. Guys, y'all can sit up there and talk on these airways till you're blue in the face, man. Our folk are not going to change. I mean, you look at, we've had all kinds of foolishness that happens daily. I mean, for something with education, something with transportation, something with the city council, something with the county government, something with the mayor's office. I mean, just some foolishness every day in the week. And I'm saying to you guys, at some point you get sick of it, man, and you say, and I think a lot of times now young parents, particularly single parents, are saying to hell with it. We're going to move to Clay Chalkville or Hewitt Trussville or Calera or Chelsea or wherever, they have to go. But I think you're seeing the results of years and years of clown activity by black politicians in this town, not having a servant's heart to serve the people, and it's coming back to roost. And now we're crying like babies saying, don't raise our rates, Mr. White Man. Don't take $60 million from us, Mr. White Man. Don't take $75 million from us, Mr. White Man. And the white judges continue to give the rulings that rule against ratepayers because the judges see, the powers that be see, that the people really don't care. And if the people don't care, why should they care? They don't live in the communities. They don't live in District 1 and District 2. Man, I'm going to be honest with you guys. I admire what y'all do, but look, find y'all something else to do, man, that's more beneficial, man. Mr. Grigsby, you could have saved that ticket coming down here from San Francisco and been making you some money practicing some other law, man. Get you a good steak dinner, Mr. Grigsby, and get on that plane and go on back home, man. Have a good night, gentlemen.
Well, I think we'll take a break on that.
Looking for a new way to generate substantial revenue for your business? Street Signs is the lowest cost, most effective advertising money can buy, and it beats TV, radio, newspapers, magazines, direct mail, and billboards. Street Signs is always on duty, eliminated from dusk till dawn. Your message stands out 24 hours a day, 365 days a year. Street Signs is an advertising dream, a unique opportunity to lease double-sided signs which are strategically located, directing potential customers to your specific place of business. Street Signs is a division of the Finley Group Group. Call 205-856-3022. Performance guaranteed. It's worry-free. We install and maintain all signs to ensure that they continue to function properly. No hidden cost. Rent covers all. The signs are fully insured and we pay for the electricity. Don't wait too long. Locations are limited. First come, first serve. Call right now, 205-856-3022. That's 205-856-3022. Street Signs, a division of the Finley Group Incorporated.
Get ready, Birmingham. It's time for the 26th annual...
And we had the repeal of the Glass-Steagall Act of 1932. That's something that helped keep things really solid, helped keep it on a steady foundation. Then we had the Wall Street Modernization Act of 1999. Also, that repeal a lot of safeguards, and it left no oversight to Wall Street. Mr. Grigsby, a lot of people don't understand what derivatives and swaps are, and all of the rest of this stuff, which really boils down to nothing but gambling, nothing but just flat out, I'm making a bet on one thing. I need you to explain and connect to the dots how these laws change and enable, these laws that were repealed by Congress, enable the bankers to rob and fleece so many people in the mortgage industry and also in Birmingham. I'll hang up and I'll listen to your response.
Okay, I'll be really quick because we only have 15 minutes left, and hopefully everybody will keep their comments quick. A derivative is a transaction that does not produce actual dollars for investment. It is taking the transaction that produced some dollars for investment and creating a new instrument that is derived from that investment. So, like in mortgage-backed securities that brought all the major banks down, AIG, Goldman Sachs, it caused one major bank to go. Lehman Brothers actually went out of business. All the major banks were involved in mortgage-backed derivatives, which are all derived from a home mortgage. In other words, a home mortgage is a loan, and they take these loans and package them into, different packages where a bunch of loans together. Then they would make tranches of each loan. In other words, you could buy the payments coming in from year 1 through 3, or you could buy the payments coming in year 22 through 27. And each one of these tranches had different yields and different market risk, but none of them created any money to loan to a homeowner to make a loan on the house. They were things created after the fact of the original loan. That's why they're called derivatives. In the case of Orange County, which was a bankruptcy of a very large county in California, they had ended up getting involved in buying a lot of mortgage-backed derivatives. And the market went away, and that whole county, which was the wealthiest county in the state of California, went bankrupt. So I'm just telling you, derivatives are the increase in the rates is tied directly to the bonds that produce the derivatives that produce the profit, and it's the same kind of derivatives that caused all the banks to come down and required the government to go back and support the banks with the welfare package.
Okay, we've got the phone lines backed up, and caller, we will in a future show deal with those other two questions you talked about, the changes in the law that allowed this to occur. I thought those were very relevant questions, and we will get to that when we've got more time. Okay, caller, welcome to Knowledge.
Good evening, gentlemen. I agree with Bean Counter. Mr. Grigsby, first question, I only got two short ones. The first question, I was told that all 5 commissioners are supposed to sign the derivatives and the bond agreements, and only one did. Are you familiar with that fact, and are you going to proceed with that fact?
There is a statute that says only one person has to sign. There's a lot of, to pursue that remedy, since the execution was done back in 2002 and 2003, there are a lot of defenses to that, including statute of limitations.
Okay.
What we're trying to pursue is a remedy that says the statute under which the warrants were issued itself, because the money was used to benefit private individuals, the issuance violates the Constitution, therefore is void ab initio, and the entire receiver that is derived from that void issuance has to be terminated.
All right. The second question, I know you facilitated the waterworks with $350 million worth of bond issues, so I don't think they're going broke. And I know that the city of Birmingham has about a $350 million a year budget, so I know they're not going broke. It looks to me like the city of Birmingham is the largest customer of the waterworks and of the sewer department. Why aren't they saying anything, and why isn't the waterworks people saying anything? I'll hang up.
Well, that's not true. The lead intervener in the lawsuit to have the warrants declared unconstitutional is Roderick Royal, who is the president of City Council. He's the number one plaintiff. The second person who is, they're all co-equal, but the next person is Mary Moore, who's a representative, and then Andrew Bennett, who is a tax collector out in Jefferson County. So we have people who are, concerned about the citizens who are also elected officials.
Okay, caller, welcome to Knowledge is Power. Caller?
Yes, good evening.
Yes, go ahead.
Yes, contrary to what some people are saying, I don't think all hope is lost. I think that the people are ready to respond and do whatever they are asked to do. But no one seems to have the organization in place, and no one seems to want to step forward and lead. Now, I agree that this is one of the greatest frauds that's been perpetrated on the people. First of all, the county government and its representatives perpetrated this fraud against the citizens. The state will uphold them. So my question is this: why has this not gone straight to the U.S. Justice Department? We have a black president, a black attorney general, and this seems to be a clear-cut case. So why hadn't someone taken this to the U.S. Justice Department?
Well, Commissioner Bowman and members of his staff delivered all of this information to the Justice Department, and the Justice Department, while they work slow and quiet, they are working. And I would think that an outcry from the citizens would be sufficient impetus to step up their activities, but they are working.
Well, you see, my point is this. You seem to take the attitude that one day all of the people in this city, or the majority that's affected, are going to say, oh, well, let's go protest. That's not going to happen unless someone steps forward and wants to lead in this action.
NAACP?
No, I'm not.
You member of the SCLC?
No, I'm not. Not now.
Well, that might be the problem, is that these organizations are impotent and can't get a group together or a crowd together.
Well, it doesn't necessarily have to be the NAACP or any organization. I mean, it can be people from the community who want to put themselves out there and say, hey, we're going to go forward on this. Because I know this. I will participate in anything that comes forward that's going to protest this action.
Well, all right. We hope that there are some leaders out there who are willing to join us. I can tell you that the people in this room are fighting, have been fighting, and continue to fight for the ratepayers in Jefferson County. We have just been handicapped, quite frankly, because of what appears to be a lack of concern by the people who are suffering most. Appreciate the call. Thank you. Caller, welcome to Knowledge is Power.
Hello?
Yes, hello.
Thank you. This is Pratt City calling in. And I'd like to thank you for having your guest up, Mr. Finley. I think that's Dr. Huntley, and the attorney, I think his name is Mr. Grigsby.
Yes.
I'm awfully proud of all of you as well as the information, but I'm a little bothered because if I'm remembering correctly, early on, I think the judge that ruled for us to clean up the sewers, or the EPA agreement, said like $750 million was supposed to do this job. I see you said, I heard Mr. Grigsby say something like 800. No, he said something about all of the attorneys have refused to do their work, but they're being paid or have been paid. That's the mandamus law. which means you can force them to do their job. And if the commissioners are not doing their job, the mandamus law stands against them too. Because the ratepayers have to be protected because they're the ones being robbed.
Yes.
I'm just in awe that the county attorney, Strickland, that was retired, that he's not in prison 10 years ago, because he sit up there for the last 8 or 9 years, and he's allowed discrimination in work practices and everything else, and he just sit there. I'm for whatever we need to do to get done. My other concern I need to go toward is everyone who's benefited needs to bring all of the money back plus interest. Everyone who's taken money knowingly or unknowingly, I'm so surprised that the lieutenant governor no, not the lieutenant governor, the attorney general steps in June, and he's been in office since January. Shame on you, Mr. Strange. You know, these are the kind of things that everybody is out to lunch when it comes to a problem that really affects ratepayers. And since it's the only 2 districts, then everything, we need to make the cost fit the area that is being served at. If the work is in Gardendale needs to pay, because they're saying that they are not on this sewer, or wherever the work is. We need to make sure all the work product matches their actual cost based on the regional cost.
Okay, Charles, we appreciate it. We've got a couple of calls. We're going to try to clear the lines before we close out. Caller, welcome to Knowledge is Power.
Man, good evening.
Good evening.
And good evening to your guests. I know actions speak louder than words. And I got my water sewer bill today, which before that came no later than the 2nd, and it's due on the 15th. But what I am going to do, I'm going to cut mine in half and set the water bill and pay for it and see just what they going to do. Even though they have on there, I must pay both of them. So I will let y'all know I come out, because I'm not going to pay nothing but the water bill. Thank you.
All right, keep us informed. All right. We've run out of time. We could go on all night with this. I want to thank Dr. Huntley. I want to thank Mr. Grigsby for coming in and giving of their time. Our promise to you when we started was that we would not waste your time. We appreciate you tuning in. We appreciate you listening. I would encourage you to have this conversation Sunday morning, if not in the sanctuary, in the parking lot.